Here's today's First Word Daily Devotion.
It's April the 18th, and we turn to Joshua, continuing to read Joshua, and today we'll get into the Gospel of John. But let's first turn to Joshua. And remember, we've been focusing a lot about the condition of people's hearts. We've seen that the Lord's desire with His people is to form in them a heart that pleases Him, a heart that praises Him, a heart that obeys Him, a heart that wants Him, desires Him. And so here we have God fighting by causing hearts to melt. Look at this verse here. I think this is verse 1. Yeah, it is. Look at that. That's a long verse. Verse 1. Their hearts melted, and there was no longer any spirit in them because of the people of Israel. Now pay attention there, because we're going to see that repeated. Let's just go ahead and advance over there in the next page here in chapter 7 and verse 5. We see the reverse. Instead of what should have happened, where God causing the hearts of the people to melt, instead we have this instance because of the people's disobedience, the reverse happening, where now Israel's heart is melting. And this, of course, is the sin of Ai. Look at verse 5. And the men of Ai killed about 36 of their men and chased them before the gate as far as Shabarim and struck them at the descent. And the hearts of the people melted and became as water. So look at this reversal. Here we have in the beginning God causing the hearts of the people to melt on account of Israel. And here in chapter 7 and verse 5, the reverse. And Israel, they have their hearts melting. And notice this, that heart melting event of Israel occurs after one of their greatest victories. Their greatest victory, one of the greatest victories, of course, being at Jericho. And so God is providing. The angel of the Lord has come. Joshua went to him in verse 13 on this previous page here. And he said, "Are you for us? Are you against us?" And he said, "No, I am the commander of the army of the Lord." And so in other words, Joshua, you're asking the wrong question. As Tony Evans is famous for saying, the angel of the Lord said, "I'm not here to take sides, I'm here to take over." And that's exactly the point of reference for us. Joshua asked the wrong question. The right question was to understand that the Lord is there and He deserves our allegiance. But chapter 6, of course, hopefully this is another opportunity for you who are parents of children. This is another one of those great children's stories for you to read about Joshua and the battle of Jericho. Jericho, Jericho. So anyway, we see march 6 days, and then the 7th day, blow the trumpet, and the walls came tumbling down. All right, so anyway, you make sure to sing that song with your children. And so let's turn over and remember this. And before we get into John, remember throughout the Scriptures, we are confronted with the reality of sin. And so when we have the conquest of the land, this is only highlighting the reality of sin. And then we turn to John chapter 1 today. And in John chapter 1, it's important for us to remember, and the fact that we have Joshua right on top of our reading in John highlights this fact, that Jesus came into a sinful world. He came into a sinful world to save. And of course, His coming brings peace to the world, but His coming brings peace to the world through a bloody cross. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to bear witness about the light. The true light, which gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness about him and cried out, This was he of whom I said, He who comes after me ranks before me, because he was before me. For from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. The only God who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. And what is he made known about God? Look in the Psalms, it tells us. He is God, verse 3. It is he who made us. We are his. We are the people and the sheep of his pasture. Look at verse 5. What do we know about God? For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. This is the message that Jesus teaches. This is why we belong to Jesus.